recording this one while the Clippers Thunder game is going on. Just wanted to do a reaction to the Sixers Nuggets game, the Jokic-Embiid matchup that really wasn't a matchup because they didn't guard each other for the most part until Embiid started guarding Jokic in the fourth quarter. Jokic did for a possession or two in the fourth quarter, but mostly stuck with the gimmick defense that really both teams have been playing all game. And my main takeaway, and I'm not even in this video going to talk about all the disingenuous narratives that have mainly come out of Colorado about Embiid's season this year, like stat padding and all that other bullshit. Embiid has like 4 or 5 narratives people are making up about him, and they all kind of contradict each other, but I'm not even going to talk about that. I want to talk about a great basketball game between 2 great teams, 2 great players, and really my main takeaway is I need the Sixers to get their shit together in the playoffs. I need Embiid to have a healthy postseason run. I need Nick Nurse to be marginally better than Doc Rivers. I need the Sixers to get their shit together in the playoffs so we can have a Jokic-Embiid NBA Finals, because there's just too many storylines there. I've done multiple videos on this channel about the history of big men. I did an Attack on Titan crossover video about the history of centers and how many times great centers have gone against each other in the NBA Finals, from the 60s to the 70s to the 80s to the 90s when it was the golden age of centers, and we need it now. And there's just multiple storylines to go with this game, not just storylines but matchups. You got the 2 great centers, you got 2 great coaches, 2 dynamic guards playing off those 2 great centers, elite role players, versatility across the board. We just need that finals matchup. But a few points on the game real quick. 1, it was an impressive win by the Sixers because they're coming off of a back-to-back against a Houston Rockets team that is one of the elite defenses in the NBA. And then you come out with seemingly, I was surprised at the amount of energy the Sixers had to start this game. And the fact that both teams just could not miss. It was a really fun game. Embiid had 15 points to open up the first quarter and 5 assists. And in the fourth quarter was just on fire. But really weird defenses from both teams to start. You had, Jokic guarding Embiid for the first few possessions there. Embiid guarded Jokic like once or twice in that first quarter, but he was mainly guarding Aaron Gordon so we can roam off of, him and try to defend the back line. And then you had Jokic guarding multiple guys seemingly, Kelly Oubre, Nick Batum. He was guarding Tyrese Maxey a few times as well. Both teams really were just confused in their coverages. There was a lot of open shots, a lot of open threes. I think by the end of the first half, both teams were shooting 63% and over 50% from 3, which was absolutely insane. And then the third quarter happens. The Sixers go on a nice little run there. And then I thought they missed an opportunity to really push the lead to double digits when they were doing that back and forth where Michael Porter took a really dumb 3-point shot in the corner in transition. Kelly Oubre missed a quick shot. Tobias Harris missed a quick shot, and it was just up and down action. And then Aaron Gordon finally decided to squash all that with a 3-point play. And then the Nuggets in the quarter on a 16-2 run where I was just getting frustrated with the defense at that point. Embiid had 2 fouls. I thought Nick Nurse should have switched to just playing straight up a normal defense sooner. But apparently he was saving that for the fourth quarter. But the Nuggets went on a 16-2 run to be up 104-99 to end the third. And then Nick Nurse said in the in-between interview that Embiid was going to start guarding Jokic, which, surprise, surprise, if you play your normal base defense, you're probably more likely to get more stops than the first 3 quarters where you're playing this weird defense. And then in the second quarter, you're going zone a lot. I thought Michael Porter Jr. once again had a great start to the game and then kind of just got phased out as the game went along. I also thought Jamal Murray had some weird decisions in the third quarter and the fourth quarter where he was just really bad. Outside of the second quarter, I really did not like the game from Jamal Murray. Tyrese Maxey outplayed him. I also thought Jokic was too deferential until it was too late in the fourth quarter. And I'm sure Nuggets fans are probably going to say, oh, it's a regular season matchup. It doesn't matter, even though they probably wanted this game as much as Sixer fans wanted this game. But I thought Jokic was too deferential in the fourth quarter. Really didn't start taking jumpers and taking shots until about the 4-minute mark, when by that point, it looked like both teams were just tired. Jamal Murray, I really thought he looked the most tired out of all the players on the Nuggets, and it really showed, in my opinion. There were just some bad turnovers, a bad pass to Jokic in the pick and roll where Embiid was in drop coverage, and it kind of bounced off of Jokic, and it was a turnover. Just really some weird stuff. And I thought the Sixers' top three outplayed the Nuggets' top three. I thought Embiid outplayed Jokic, with the exception of Jokic really kicked Embiid's ass on the glass. Now, some of that was Embiid was roaming off of Gordon for the first 3 quarters or so, and Embiid was in the picture trying to crash the glass, but Jokic was just out-muscling the rest of the Sixers because Jokic always had a smaller defender on him. But I thought in that fourth quarter, Jokic was just still getting offensive rebounds over Embiid, and it's incredible how Jokic gets rebounds despite not being able to jump really high. His hands are incredible, some of the best hands I've ever seen. But who would have thought Embiid would have more assists than Jokic in this game? I thought Embiid's passing really set the tone in that third quarter. Now, the Nuggets really did some weird shit where they would double off of Tyrese Maxey and Embiid was one pass away, and Embiid made him pay for it. Embiid was getting stuff in the DHO action. Embiid also had a nice dish to a cutting Kelly Oubre in that second quarter off of Denver doubling Embiid. Really just interesting matchups across the board. And hopefully Embiid plays in Denver so we could stop this stupid fucking ducking narrative that Nuggets fans have just mind-melded themselves into thinking. In the 2019-20 season, now I'm really going to go on a little rant here. The 2019-20 season was the last time Embiid played in Denver. The 2020-21 season, Embiid had a nasty knee injury where I thought he tore his ACL against the Washington Wizards right after the All-Star break, and Embiid missed a month, including the game in Denver on a road trip. Then in 2021-22, he had COVID and was getting over COVID and missed the entire road trip, including the game after the Denver Nuggets game on the road. And then last year was really the one you could be like, come on, man, because Embiid was having a calf injury. He left at halftime in that Chicago Bulls game, then played a few other games after that, including one against the Warriors. And then he sat out the Denver game after dropping a piece on The Athletic, basically taking a shot at Jokic. And that was the one where it was like, okay, I see where Nuggets fans are coming from. But now this season, they've just mind-melded themselves into thinking that Embiid ducks all these teams on the road, tough teams on the road, even though he's been the most injury-prone star ever. And it's very easy to just see that that narrative is literally bullshit. But regardless, I don't want to digress too far because I just appreciate that we get to see two great players go at each other, two all-time great centers go at each other, and I just hope Embiid will play in Denver. I think he will, as long as, you know, he doesn't have some fucked up injury. He's going to play on this road trip, and he's going to be in Denver, and we'll see what happens there. But really good matchup, really fun game, and I think the NBA would really do well, just ratings-wise, fan interest-wise, and all that, if these two all-time great bigs faced each other in the finals. But admittedly, the Sixers, they need to get their shit together come playoff time. Also, one more note before I close this video. I was fucking dreading that Stan Van Gundy was going to be calling this game, and boy, did I have good reason to dread, because Stan Van Gundy was fucking horrible calling this game, just saying a bunch of bullshit about Embiid. There was a foul that was called on Nick Batum where he reached in on Aaron Gordon, where Aaron Gordon was driving in on Embiid, and it would have been Embiid's second foul, but they rightly called the foul on Nick Batum for reaching And Stan Van Gundy tried to say that Embiid fouled Gordon, but they were just covering up for the star. Then Stan Van Gundy went on his basically a solo podcast rant in the third quarter about Embiid's playoff performance, which is fair, but proceeded to list all the dumb Twitter talking points basically about how Sixers fans ran Ben Simmons out of town, ran Doc Rivers out of town, and did everything but blame Embiid, and then just went on this unhinged rant where, again, he's not wrong about the playoff criticisms, but he is sort of wrong and unhinged on the Ben Simmons shit, on the Doc Rivers shit, which, Stan, all you have to do is fucking watch the 2021 Hawks series and see why Doc Rivers was fucking awful. But it was just very clear. I just knew going into this game with the way Stan talks about Jokic, and then, of course, Adam Lefkoe sets Stan Van Gundy up with a question of who would you rather coach? We all knew he was going to say Jokic, and with how he loves Jokic and how every broadcast he just says the dumbest shit about Embiid, while also saying a compliment here and there, so it looks like, look, I'm sounding like a fan right now, but it's clear Stan Van Gundy sets out for these broadcasts to criticize Embiid or say dumb shit like the previous TNT game last week or 2 weeks ago, I believe it was the Nuggets-Warriors game. Embiid had nothing to do with the game. The Sixers weren't even playing, but Stan comes up with this dumb narrative. No, it was Boston-Milwaukee, where Stan says, oh, well, Embiid gets to rest, so of course it's easy for him to put up these numbers. And it's like, shut the fuck up, dude. Like, for real? Stan Van Gundy has had awful takes about the Sixers for the last 8 years, going all the way back to when he was president of basketball operations and the head coach of the Detroit Pistons, and he just had stupid-ass takes about the fucking process and the Sixers tanking. So it's not surprising here that for the last 3 or 4 years, whenever he's broadcasted Sixer games on TNT, he's just come up with dipshit takes and dipshit criticism instead of just calling the game and saying dumb shit like, well, whenever Embiid shoots free throws, it's beneficial to him because he gets to rest, and making it sound like it's the smartest point he ever came up with. Anyway, this game was great. The Nuggets are great. The Sixers found a way to win despite missing key rotation guys. They didn't have DeAnthony Melton, didn't have Robert Covington. It was really surprising to see Furkan Korkmaz get early minutes. It was just an impressive win by the Sixers. And Maxey, please practice your free throws. I know you're probably tired because you're getting used to being the number one guard on this team, but your slump shooting at the free throw line scaring me, bud. But anyway, great win by the Sixers. Fun game, fun matchup between two all-time great big men. Now let's get it in Denver, please, so the narratives can shut up at least for a few weeks.